I'd like to speak in support of this bill. The miraculous thing about it really is it's been such a long time coming. We've heard various members talk about the long journey for this particular bill. I would have thought it's a bit of a no-brainer really that the Stewart Island people should be helped in this way. 400 people can't possibly sustain the visitor numbers that come through there. Unlike my colleague, I have been to Stewart Island as somebody who's been involved in tourism and gardening and walking in New Zealand bush, my cathedrals of green. Stewart Island certainly has an enormous amount of attractions, and I felt as a visitor there that it would be appropriate to contribute in some way, and what better way than a visitor levy. For 40,000 people visiting at the moment, $160,000, so about $4 a head, about the same price as a cup of coffee. It's not too much to ask, and it would make a huge difference to the ability of those 400 people on Stewart Island to actually put in the sort of amenities that they need if they want to please the visitors that go there in their droves already. The cruise ships have been referred to, and it's all very well to have international visitors going to a place like Stewart Island, taking advantage of the short walk tracks that can be easily managed in an hour or two, but also for the people who, like me, who like to go for a longer walk. There is a walk that takes 12 days that takes you right around the island, and it is one of the few places, I think, in New Zealand where you can still do it, not the whole thing, but, you know, we can add that to the bucket list for sure. I think when it comes to unique properties, Stewart Island has much to commend it. So too do the outlying islands. We heard Nikki Kay earlier talking about the islands of the Hauraki Gulf, the member for Rongotai talking about the glories of the Chatham Island. All of these places have things to commend them. To me, Stewart Island has unique properties in the sense of its vegetation and its wildlife. It's pest-free, apart from the odd marauding visitor, no doubt, but it is a place that has the ability to show New Zealand the way it used to be to people who want to see it and to want to experience a kind of eco-tourism, which I feel will become more and more popular in years to come. So tourism, which is a very good source of income already for the islanders, by virtue of this levy, would be able to generate more income for the people of the Stewart Island and enable them to live there. As Eric pointed out, Eric Roy, very carefully, it is a very expensive place to get to. We saw through the tragedy in Fovo Strait, an extremely wild stretch of water, that it is difficult, dangerous, and you need to make a conscious decision to go there. When you do get there, it is very expensive infrastructure-wise to set up businesses, to have cell phone and the other things that we all take for granted, living in more built-up areas. To me, the ability for people on Stewart Island to make a couple of $100,000, and that would tend to grow as people realise and recognise that there is so much to offer on Stewart Island, it would be something that would generate more and more interest the more people that go there and come away from it, extolling its virtues. So as a source of income potentially into the future, it is perhaps the salvation of Stewart Island, because as with many small islands, it's very difficult to keep the young people there. It's very difficult to provide employment, and for an island to be able to look after itself, not just through fishing quotas or through mineral exploration or forestry or any other things. Horticulture is not really a possibility because of the transport and the logistical issues. So to be able to generate income from tourism that doesn't really impact too hard on the tourist, I think is a fantastic idea. $4 is not going to put anyone off visiting. It is really a very painless levy. Palmerston North, I think you have to pay more than that to get out of the place, and it's worth every cent. I speak now without any major disloyalty. It's always a pleasure to leave, indeed. Gary McCormick didn't used to think so, but in the year I spent in Palmerston North, in fact I lived in Fielding, mostly because Tom Scott called it the Athens of the South Pacific, and I felt that was sufficiently intriguing. But Palmerston North itself, the contentious nature of that departure tax has been well versed, and I won't track through it now. But it is nothing like the sort of levy we're talking about here. And I think that 245 kilometres of walking tracks, all of which can be accessed from the town of Oban, make Stewart Island potentially a place that can develop very well in the ecotourism. There is talk of the pristine beaches and the sheltered inlets and so forth. So even for the more lazy visitor, shall we say, there is plenty to commend them. We talk, of course, about the blue cod, the oysters and the salmon, which isn't going to be going anywhere across the House any old time soon because clearly some of them don't deserve it. But it is very much a place where most people, with a generosity of spirit and some largesse, a quality that appears to be missing, not to mention a sense of humour, these things are all to be found in the people who live in Stewart Island. Although they deal with their tragedies, they don't have to put up with the sort of horrors that the opposition have to from within their own ranks. But that's another story. I don't want to digress and take up the House's time with that. But I would commend that Eric's Levy bill be supported. It's been a long time in coming, a very long journey. I'm glad it's gone directly to its third reading. And how good would it be if Eric is able to go to that funeral tomorrow and to a community in pain and in grief at a funeral and be able to tell them this good news. I think it's entirely fitting that the House has managed to put this through to this time, and I commend the House to this bill. I commend this bill to the House and would hope indeed that we can get it through in a timely fashion with a minimum of fuss.
Members, this debate is concluded. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Southland District Council, Stewart Island, Rakiura Visitor Levy Empowering Bill, third reading.
Call on private and local order of the day number 2.